Man, the more I look around at how the modern world treats women, the more I realize something. We've been sold this illusion of freedom. Like, do whatever you want, wear whatever you want. It's empowerment. But if you scratch the surface, you start seeing it's not really empowerment. It's marketing. It's a business model. And then you look at certain systems, certain ways of life, and you realize, damn, maybe they actually built something to protect women from all of this exploitation we just accept as normal. We grow up hearing this word freedom like it's the ultimate prize in life, like it's the finish line we're all supposed to be running toward. And sure, it sounds amazing. No one telling you what to do. You get to make your own choices, live however you want. But somewhere along the way, we started buying into a version of freedom that isn't really freedom at all. It's like they handed us a shiny gift box, and when we opened it, we found it was empty. Worse than empty, it was a trap. Look around at the modern world. What do we see? They tell women, you're free to wear whatever you want, act however you want, post whatever you want. And that's empowerment. But then they surround you with industries designed to profit from every insecurity you've ever had. Fashion companies, beauty conglomerates, cosmetic surgery clinics, social media platforms, they all have the same business model, make you feel like you're not enough as you are, then sell you something to fix it. That's not freedom. That's a leash you can't even see because it's disguised as choice. Think about it. When was the last time you social media and didn't see an ad for some product to make you look better, younger, slimmer, more confident? And it's not just ads. It's influencers selling a lifestyle, celebrities setting impossible beauty standards, even your own friends unknowingly playing the same game, posting the highlight reels that make you compare yourself to them. This so-called freedom to express yourself has become a race you didn't sign up for, where the finish line keeps moving and the judges are strangers on the internet hitting a like button. The wild thing is, when you take a step back and strip away all the noise, you realize there are systems in this world that refuse to let women be reduced to a product. Instead of encouraging you to sell yourself to the highest bidder of attention, they set up guardrails to protect you from that. And at first, from the outside, it might look restrictive. But dig deeper and you see it's not about limiting your worth. It's about refusing to let your worth be defined by someone else's gaze. Imagine walking into a store and every single thing in there is for sale, except you. The signs say, not available for purchase, not available for display, not available for bargaining. That's real power because the moment you're off the market, you stop being part of the game. You can actually live without being constantly evaluated, ranked, or picked apart. In daily life, you can see how damaging this modern freedom is. You hear stories about girls who won't even go to the grocery store without makeup because they feel naked without it. Women who spend hours editing photos before posting because they're afraid of looking less than perfect. People drowning in debt because they keep chasing the next outfit, the next brand, the next upgrade. We call it personal choice. But when your choices are shaped by invisible pressure, it's not really yours anymore. True freedom is being able to wake up in the morning and not feel like you have to perform for the world. It's walking outside knowing you don't have to attract attention to prove you matter. It's living in a way that says, I'm already valuable, and nothing you see or don't see changes that. That's a freedom most people in this culture don't even realize they've lost. And the irony is, the more you chase this surface level version of freedom, the less free you become. You're constantly working to keep up an image, constantly comparing yourself to others, constantly afraid of losing relevance. You can't rest because resting means falling behind. But when you live in a system that protects you from that cycle, you suddenly have time and energy for things that actually matter. Your mind, your relationships, your purpose. This isn't about hiding. It's about reclaiming control over how much of yourself the world gets to consume. It's about making sure that no one, no corporation, no stranger scrolling on a phone gets to decide your value. And when you think about it like that, it's clear that sometimes the rules we think are limiting are the very things keeping us from becoming a product in someone else's marketplace. Privacy is one of those things people don't really think about until they lose it. We live in a time where sharing is the default. You buy a coffee, post it. You go to the gym, post it. You're on vacation, post it. We've turned our lives into open books, and the more we share, the more people think they know us. But here's the thing. When everyone can see everything, they start to believe they have a right to it. They start thinking they can judge you, pick you apart, and put you in a box. And suddenly, without realizing it, you've handed over the most powerful thing you have, control over your own narrative. People think privacy means you're hiding something. Like if you're not showing the world everything, you must be afraid or ashamed. But real privacy isn't about fear, it's about strength. It's about knowing you don't need the world's constant validation to feel secure in who you are. When you keep certain parts of yourself just for you, you're not making yourself smaller, you're protecting your energy, you're choosing who gets to see the real you and who doesn't. Imagine you're carrying a bag of gold coins. Every time you share a piece of yourself, it's like handing out one of those coins. When you give them out carelessly, you'll wake up one day with nothing left, wondering why you feel so empty. But when you guard them, when you choose carefully who's worth giving one to, your bag stays full, your value stays intact. That's what privacy is. It's holding on to the gold instead of throwing it at anyone who happens to walk by. In today's culture, especially for women, there's this pressure to put everything on display. Your looks, your outfits, your lifestyle, it's all expected to be public property. It's wrapped up in phrases like own your beauty or be confident. But if we're being real, half the time it's just about feeding the machine that profits from attention. The more you show, the more they can sell. The more they can sell, the more they own you, and that's where privacy becomes the ultimate act of rebellion. Think about how different your relationships become when not everyone has full access to you, when you're not broadcasting your every move. The people who matter have to put in the effort to actually know you. They can't just scroll your profile and think they've got you figured out. They have to talk to you, spend time with you, understand you. Privacy forces depth, and depth weeds out the people who were only there for the surface. There's a reason the most valuable things in life aren't on public display. Gold isn't left lying in the street. Diamonds aren't sitting on a park bench. They're locked away, protected, guarded, because their value demands it. So why should your life, your body, your mind be treated any differently? When you live with privacy, you're saying to the world, I am valuable, and not everyone gets access to me. Look at the way some people exhaust themselves trying to keep up appearances. New outfits, new filters, constant updates. Like they're running a full-time marketing campaign for themselves. It's tiring, it's stressful. And half the time, it's not even for them. It's for people they barely know or don't even like. Privacy frees you from that hamster wheel. You stop performing, you start living full, you start chasing approval, you start choosing what actually matters. It's like having a secret garden that only a few trusted people are allowed to enter. The rest of the world might catch a glimpse of the walls, but they'll never see the beauty inside unless you invite them. And when you do invite someone in, it means something. It's not just content for them to scroll past. It's a piece of your real life, given intentionally, not demanded by the crowd. Privacy isn't about building walls to shut the world out forever. It's about building gates you control. You decide when to open them and for whom. And when you have that power, you can walk through life without feeling drained, without feeling used, without feeling like your worth is tied to how many people are looking at you. It's a quiet kind of strength, but it's the kind that changes everything about the way you move through the world. One of the most dangerous addictions in the world right now isn't drugs, it isn't alcohol, it isn't gambling. It's the craving for attention, the kind that seeps into your bones and changes the way you think, the way you act, the way you see yourself. It starts small, almost innocent. You post something online, people like it, you get that little rush, and then your brain whispers, do it again, make them look at you again, and before you know it, you're living your life like a performance, constantly trying to earn applause from people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared tomorrow. We've built a culture where being seen is treated like being alive. If people aren't watching you, if you're not posting, if you're not updating, it feels like you don't exist. And for so many, especially women, this becomes a never-ending game of proving your worth, looking at new clothes, new makeup, new angles, new filters, always chasing the next moment where people will stop scrolling for 2 seconds and give you that hit of approval. But the problem is, it's never enough. You could get 1,000 likes today, and tomorrow your brain will still be hungry. It's like eating junk food. You get that burst of satisfaction, but it fades fast, and the emptiness comes right back. And just like with junk food, the more you feed it, the worse it gets. Suddenly you're making decisions not because they feel right for you, but because they'll get more attention. You're living for the reaction instead of the reality. Now imagine cutting that chain. Imagine living in a way where your value isn't tied to whether strangers approve of you, where your sense of self doesn't rise and fall based on numbers on a screen. That's what happens when you remove the hunger for attention. You stop playing a game that was rigged from the start. You start living for moments that don't need to be posted to be real. Think about the freedom in that. Going to the beach and actually feeling the sand instead of thinking about how it'll look in photos. Buying clothes because they make you feel good, not because they'll get comments. Having conversations without wondering how they'll sound in a caption. When you strip away the craving for attention, you start to see that most of what you were doing wasn't for you at all. It was for an audience that doesn't even really care. I've seen people ruin their mental health chasing this. Checking their phones every 5 minutes, deleting posts if they don't get enough likes fast enough, comparing themselves to others until they can't see their own worth. It's like volunteering to be judged over and over again, hoping the verdict is good this time. But when you don't need that validation anymore, you're untouchable. The criticism doesn't cut you, and the praise doesn't own you. And here's the beautiful part: when you remove the hunger for attention, the attention you do get means more, because it's not being forced, it's not being begged for. It's earned naturally from people who see you for who you are, not for what you're trying to project. Those connections are deeper, stronger, and they don't vanish the moment you stop performing. In daily life, this shows up in small, powerful ways. You're in a group and someone tells a story, and you don't jump in just to top it. You actually listen. You go to a party and you don't feel the need to be the loudest in the room. You're just yourself. You have a quiet night in, and you feel satisfied without needing to prove it to anyone. That's when you realize the hunger was never about attention. It was about a hole inside you that attention could never fill. When you start feeding that hole with self-respect, purpose, and real relationships instead, everything changes. You're no longer starving for the world's approval because you've built something stronger inside yourself. You stop chasing the spotlight and start creating your own light. The kind that doesn't burn out when the crowd turns away. Realize how much first impressions shape relationships. In today's world, so much of what we think about someone is based on the surface. What they look like, how they dress, the vibe they give off in a 5-second glance. We swipe left or right based on a photo. We make assumptions before a single real conversation happens. And when that's the foundation, you can't be surprised when the structure eventually collapses. When there are boundaries in place, when access to a person, especially a woman, is limited, it changes everything. It forces people to slow down. It forces them to approach with intention instead of impulse. They can't just get distracted by a picture, a glance, or a momentary attraction. They have to actually put in the work to understand who's behind the face, who's behind the clothes. It's like putting a filter at the front door of your life. Only the ones with genuine intentions get through. Think about it in terms of your home. If your front door was wide open all the time, anyone could walk in. Salesmen, thieves, strangers with no reason to be there. But when you have a lock, when you decide who comes in, the people inside are the ones you've chosen. You feel safer, more in control. Boundaries around yourself work the same way. They keep out the ones who are just there for the easy grab and let in the ones who are willing to knock, wait, and earn your trust. In daily life, you see how this plays out all the time. Some people are only interested in you as long as you're entertaining them, as long as you're convenient, as long as you're giving them something to look at or use. The moment you stop, they vanish. Others stick around because they're invested in the real you. They're curious about your thoughts, your values, your dreams. The problem is, without some kind of filter, it's almost impossible to tell them apart at first. The ones with shallow motives can mimic sincerity just long enough to get what they want. But when you live with boundaries, those masks fall off quicker. If someone can't rely on surface-level access to keep them hooked, they have to decide whether it's worth it to dig deeper. Most of the wrong people will walk away because it's too much effort, And that's exactly what you want, because the right ones will see the extra effort as a privilege, not a burden. They'll see your boundaries as proof of your self-respect, not an obstacle to get past. There's something powerful about knowing the people in your life are there because they chose to be, not because they got easy access. It means the compliments are real, the interest is genuine, and the connection is built on something more solid than appearance. It's like having a garden where the flowers aren't plastic. You know they took time to grow, and that makes them worth more. Too often, people underestimate the damage caused by letting the wrong intentions slide through. You let someone close because they said the right things, but you didn't wait to see if they meant them. You trust too quickly, and then you're surprised when they leave at the first sign of effort. Boundaries change that. They don't just protect you, they reveal people. They turn time into a test, and time always shows the truth. When you put a filter on your life, you stop wasting energy on people who were never serious about you in the first place. You start giving your time, your mind, and your heart only to those who have earned it. And the beauty of that is the relationships you do build are stronger, deeper, and more resilient because they're rooted in who you are, not just what you look like in the moment someone first saw you. People often say you can't truly know someone until you've seen them in different situations. But the truth is, most people never even get past the surface. We live in a world obsessed with first impressions and quick judgments. Everything is instant matches, instant messages, instant decisions. It's all based on appearance, charm, and how well someone can play the part in the first few moments. And that's exactly why so many connections fall apart. They were built on the wrong foundation from the very start. When there are boundaries in place, when you can't just walk into someone's life without effort, it changes the whole game. It forces people to slow down. It forces them to approach with a purpose, not just a whim. When someone can't have unlimited access to you right away, they have to decide if they're really interested in who you are or if they were just passing by for a quick thrill. It's like a filter that separates the ones who are here for the depth from ones here for the moment. Think of it like a coffee filter. Without the filter, you'd have a cup full of grounds, and it might look like coffee, but it would be undrinkable. The filter holds back all the stuff you don't want, leaving only what's pure, what's worth keeping. Boundaries work the same way. They keep the wrong intentions from slipping into your life, disguised as the right ones. Daily life is full of examples of this. Maybe you've met someone who seemed perfect at first, funny, attentive, charming, but as soon as they realized they couldn't get what they wanted instantly, they lost interest. That's the filter doing its job. It's not a loss, it's a win, because it saved you from investing in someone who wasn't willing to invest in you. The ones who are meant to be in your life will pass through that filter naturally because they're not just after the easy parts. They want the whole truth of you, the parts that take time to see. And here's the thing about intentions, they can be disguised for a while, but they can't stay hidden forever. Someone might be able to fake interest, fake respect, even fake commitment, but time exposes everyone. When you have boundaries, you give yourself that time. You create a space where people have to show you who they really are, not just who they think you want them to be. This isn't about making people prove themselves in some cold, transactional way. It's about respecting yourself enough to not hand over your energy to people who haven't earned it. When you make it clear that access to you is something valuable, you naturally attract the people who understand value. They're the ones who show up consistently, who don't disappear when things aren't convenient, who see you as more than a temporary distraction. Picture it like guarding a treasure chest. If you left it open in the middle of the street, anyone could take from it, and most wouldn't care about what it meant to you. But if you keep it locked, only those who are willing to search for the key, to understand why it's worth protecting, will even try. And those people won't just take from it. They'll respect it, maybe even add to it. Boundaries aren't walls to keep love out. They're gates that you control. You get to choose when to open them and for whom. And that choice changes everything. Because the people who enter your life after passing through that gate aren't there because it was easy. They're there because they wanted to be. They're there because they saw something in you worth the effort, worth the patience, worth the wait. And when you surround yourself with those kinds of people, you stop worrying about being hurt by the wrong intentions because you've already filtered them out before they had the chance. Mental health and self-worth are connected in ways most people don't even realize. Every single day, without even noticing it, we walk through a minefield of comparisons, judgments, and invisible standards that eat away at both. You wake up, you open your phone, and before you've even brushed your teeth, you've already seen someone who looks better, lives better, travels more, earns more. And in that quiet moment between scrolling and sighing, your mind starts whispering, you're not enough. For women especially, this pressure is everywhere. It's in magazines, in movies, in the ads that follow you online, in the subtle comments from people who don't even mean harm. It's a constant drip of messaging that says you're valuable when you're beautiful when you're flawless, and you're flawless only if you meet an ever-changing list of rules. It's exhausting, and it's no wonder mental health suffers when self-worth is tied to a game that no one can win. The cruel thing is, it doesn't happen all at once. It's not like one day you wake up and decide you're not good enough. It's the slow erosion. It's every picture you compare yourself to, every joke about aging, every like you didn't get. It's being told to love yourself, but also to fix yourself. It's a world that says be confident, but also here's a list of everything you should change. Now imagine a system that takes all of that noise and throws it out. A system that says your value isn't measured in views or likes or comments or how closely you match a filtered image on a screen. A system that shields you from the constant parade of competition, that stops you from being placed on a scoreboard you never agreed to join. That's what real protection for mental health looks like. It's not telling you to be stronger while throwing you into the fire. It's removing you from the fire entirely. In real life, think about the difference it makes when you're not constantly in that state of comparison. Maybe you've had days where you didn't check social media and you noticed you felt lighter, calmer, more present. You weren't looking at yourself through the lens of how you measure up. You were just living. Now stretch that feeling over weeks, months, years. That's what happens when you're not under constant pressure to perform your identity for the world. Self-worth flourishes in environments where it's not constantly under attack. When you're not worried about how you look to strangers, you start to care more about how you feel to yourself. You start measuring your days by what you've learned, what you've experienced, who you've loved, not by how well you kept up with trends. And the shift in mental health is huge. Less anxiety, less self-doubt, more stability. It's like tending to a plant. If you put it in toxic soil, you can water it all you want, but it will struggle to grow. The soil is the environment, and for people, that environment is the culture we live in. An environment that constantly pits you against impossible beauty standards will poison your self-worth no matter how many self-help quotes you read. But an environment that respects you enough to remove those pressures, that's rich soil, and in that soil, self-worth grows naturally. People often underestimate the long-term damage of living in a constant state of judgment. It doesn't just make you insecure. It changes how you think, how you act, even the risks you take. You might avoid opportunities because you're afraid of being seen in an unflattering way. You might silence your opinions because you're worried about how you'll be perceived. Over time, you start shaping yourself into what you think others want, and the real you gets buried deeper and deeper. But when you're protected from that constant comparison, you get the space to rediscover who you are without all the noise. Your identity stops being a reaction to other people's expectations and starts being a reflection of your own values. And that's the foundation of both mental health and self-worth, knowing that you're living as yourself, not as a performance for the crowd. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing. Your life is yours, and you get to decide how much of it the world gets to take. You can spend your years chasing the fleeting high of approval, building your worth on a foundation of opinions that change like the wind, or you can anchor yourself to something stronger, something no one can touch. The truth is, the world will never stop trying to put a price tag on you, but you have the power to take yourself off the market completely. People will tell you that freedom is doing whatever you want, showing whatever you want, giving yourself to whoever asks. But the real freedom, the kind that lasts, is saying no when the world expects you to say yes. It's walking away from the crowd without fear. It's protecting your mind, your heart, your dignity, because you understand that the things you keep sacred are the things that hold the most value. You can choose to live like a mirror, always reflecting what others want to see, or you can live like a flame, burning with your own light, your own warmth, and only those who deserve it can come close. And here's the beautiful part about living like a flame: you stop depending on someone else to light you up. You become your own source, you become untouchable. Life will test you. It will try to convince you that your worth is measured by the eyes that look at you, the likes that validate you, the approval that praises you, but those are just shadows, temporary, unreliable, gone in an instant. Your real worth lives in the things you protect, the things you refuse to hand over to a world that doesn't know how to handle them. Never forget, the most priceless treasures on earth are hidden deep. Gold lies buried beneath layers of rock. Pearls are locked inside shells at the bottom of the ocean. Diamonds are formed under intense pressure far below the surface. Nothing truly valuable is left unguarded, and neither should you be. There's a reason the strongest trees don't grow overnight. They take years, decades even, to sink their roots deep enough to withstand the storms. You are no different. You are not here to be a quick spectacle for passing eyes. You are here to grow into something unshakable, and that growth happens when you stop living for applause and start living for purpose. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone who can't see it on their own. The people who matter will recognize your value without you having to perform. The ones who don't see it were never meant to be part of your story. Let them pass by. Let them chase the surface while you build your depth. Remember this: you are not defined by who notices you. You are defined by who you are when no one is watching. The quiet moments, the private victories, the battles you fight in silence. Those are the things that shape you. And when you know who you are in the dark, no spotlight can blind you and no shadow can scare you. So walk through this world with your head high, not because the world approves of you, but because you approve of yourself. Protect what's sacred. Guard your peace. Value your mind, your body, your soul like the rarest treasure they are. And when the noise of the world gets loud, stand still and remember, your worth is not up for debate. Your value is not up for auction, and your life is not a performance for the crowd. You are more than what they see, more than what they say, and more than they will ever understand.